Good morning and welcome to our last professional series of 2023. 'Tis the season. This morning we'll be learning about best college and career advising practices. We are all in for a treat today. We have so many experts on the line who I will introduce you to shortly that are here to support you, answer any questions that you may have, and to help facilitate the breakout rooms. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we hope that you use this time to dive in and learn from each other. So that being said, I wanted to give you guys just a brief overview. If you haven't had a chance to share your name and role in the chat, you can go ahead and do that now. We do have a really exciting morning planned for you all. We have our room leaders for Common App. We have Laura and Jared. For Apply Texas, we have Claudette and Ashley. For our FAFSA session, we have Jasmine and Maria. And TASFA, we have Laura and Anna Marie. And then we also, for Tomorrow Ready Texas, Lauren and Jamie. And My Texas Future, Molly and Nicole. So they are all here, as I mentioned, to answer any questions that you may have on any of those topics. And I know a lot of you guys already were able to submit which content area you wanted to focus on. So you're already pre-assigned to those breakout rooms, but we're also going to give a brief overview as well. If you weren't able to pre-select a breakout room, you can put that in the chat and I can make sure that you get into the right breakout room. And at the end of this session, we're also going to have some time for Q&A. So before we go our separate ways into the breakout rooms, just a few updates I'd like to share with you all. As you guys know, we started our professional learning series this semester. And we have our webinars the first Tuesday of every month, followed up by a coffee chat. And during the coffee chat, which is the last Tuesday of every month at 10 a.m., same time, it's just another opportunity for you to continue the conversation from our previous webinar. For example, when we talked about the Common App and Apply Texas back in August, we had a coffee chat on the last Tuesday of that month at 10 a.m. as well, just to continue the conversation and give you guys an opportunity to share resources and have a conversation with everyone. So we are not hosting a coffee chat this month for December, just with the holidays and everything like that. So we thought we would break it up, as Laura mentioned, and have our just a little bit of a hybrid webinar and a coffee chat session for this month with our breakout rooms. But definitely wanted to let you guys know about our next monthly webinar in January. It'll focus on better FAFSA and highlight any improvements that may be needed for TASFA as well. So we hope you join us for that. We know there's a lot of things coming this month. We're all, waiting anxiously, I'm sure, to figure out how everything will play out with the FAFSA release. And then just to get you guys excited some more, wanted to share with you all our plan for the spring of 2024. So you can have a glance at our professional learning series, take a look at some of our ADV updates, our college and career curriculum, Apply Texas, and My Texas Future. We have so many different resources that are coming up that we want to share with you all. So just wanted to give you guys a glimpse at that as well. And just also wanted to introduce our team. My name is Andrea Panter. I'm the Senior Network Coordinator with Texas Encores, and I have the privilege of working with Laura Gugan, our Director of Professional Learning and Engagement, as well as Lauren Disher, our Professional Learning Coordinator, and Jared Garza, who they are all here with us today. He's our Network Marketing Coordinator, and they'll be helping out behind the scenes, as well as engaging with you all in the breakout rooms. Speaking of breakout rooms, we have a great group of people today with us to help facilitate those breakout rooms. So I want to introduce you guys to Claudette Jinks. She's our Director of Strategic Advising. And as you guys are on the line, you guys can definitely wave, say hi. I know you'll get to, talk more with your folks in the breakout room. She's the Director of Strategic Advising, Initiatives and Partnerships, and Nicole Davis is our Manager of ADVI and Advise Texas. And then we have Molly Goley, our Senior Director, and Jamie Bell, our Program Coordinator of Middle School Content, and Ashley McKenzie, one of our Program Specialists. All amazing, amazing women. And we are so excited also to have some additional room leaders. We have Laura DeGrush, our Program Specialist, and Anna Marie Shaw, our Financial Aid Services. They are going to be, as I mentioned earlier, covering our TASFA information. They do amazing work behind the scenes, making sure that all of that information is up to date for us, as well as our FAFSA side, which is Maria Sandoval and Jasmine Tieta. Sorry if I said that wrong. Thank you all for being with us today. And just for those of you that may be new to Texas OnCourse, just wanted to share with you all our mission. With Texas OnCourse, all Texas students, no matter where they come from or where they're headed, have a plan for success after high school. So all of the materials that we produce, all of the trainings that we provide, we keep this always with this end in mind, sorry. Now, the work that we're doing to help our students have a valuable plan after high school, whether that's, going to a trade school, whether that's going to a community college, whether it's going, into the work field, but we just always keep that in mind. So we are going to, as I mentioned earlier, sorry, Laura, before I kick it over to you, I just wanted to say one last thing. As I mentioned earlier, we're just going to go through an overview of each of these areas of content, and then we will hop into our breakout rooms.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. We're going to just take a couple of minutes to talk a little bit high level, like 300,000 feet on what each of these things are. We know a lot of you that come to our sessions have been to our webinars. So it's really kind of just a quick recap on what we've done so far since August. So the Common App, we had some great guest speakers way back when. We like to kick off our professional learning series and talk about college applications like in August. So even though I would not consider myself a Common App expert, but I'm very familiar with the Common App. So Jared and I are going to be in this breakout room because Common App wasn't able to join us. But many of you are familiar with the Common App. This is a national application, and each year more and more colleges join and decide to be part of the Common App. We also, within the Texas OnCourse Academy, have some great materials and information about the Common App. So we definitely consider them a close partner. So they have obviously over 1,000 colleges on Common App, more and more every year, and Common App is free to use. So if you have many of your students that are applying to Ivy League schools and are planning to go out of state or trying to go outside of Texas, you're going to want to be familiar with the Common App, and many of you probably already are. So our August webinar, we talked about the Common App and Applied Texas. So Common App makes some really fantastic resources and counselor toolkits. And we'll share some of those. Each year, more and more schools, I think really recently, Texas A&M and UT Austin joined the Common App. So there's a lot of information out there for students and a lot of different ways to apply to college. So this is why we talk about the Common App and we update the Academy with all of their resources. This slide has some really fantastic videos and Common App, just recently we learned about their state reports. So if you want to see, what your students are doing and how many students are applying to the Common App, the state level reports are really helpful, and you can scan that QR code for resources. So we'll pop in, Jared and I have some resources to talk about. And if you're planning to join us, we'd love to hear your ideas about using the Common App. I know it changes each and every year. So we'll be there in just a few minutes. And with that, I will pass it over to Claudette to talk a little bit about Apply Texas.
Thanks, Laura. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I oversee the Apply Texas system. As many of you know, Apply Texas is a centralized web portal for students from students from Texas and other states to complete and submit an admission application to all Texas public and some private colleges and universities. In addition to the admission application, counselors can also access the Apply Texas Counselor Suite. The Counselor Suite allows authorized counselors to view and track a student's progress, admission application, as well as their FAFSA filing status information. Almost 2 years ago, Apply Texas was modernized and included several new features and functionality. For example, it is now mobile friendly. There's an autosave feature that was added. It has a simplified account setup now and has a profile information that is shared across all applications, replacing that old copy application feature. And we continue to improve the Apply Texas system. So next slide. As many of you probably have already heard, the Apply Texas is going to be further improved. So in the spring, Apply Texas will move to a new and enhanced platform. By May, Apply Texas will have a new look and feel to it. In July, the new Apply Texas system will launch July 1 of 2024 for the 2025-2026 admission application cycle. The new Apply Texas will provide an improved user experience for students and for counselors. The Counselor Suite will also have a new look in the spring. Online Texas application for state financial aid or TASFA information will be added to the Counselor Suite in a similar manner to the FAFSA filing status information that currently exists in the Counselor Suite. The agency aligns with the Department of Education on the availability of that FAFSA data. So you'll hear in a moment from our colleagues more about the FAFSA TASFA timeline. Once FAFSA and TASFA data are available in the spring, it will be provided in the Counselor Suite. And counselors will continue to have the availability to do those reports like they have been. Next slide. In the Texas OnCourse provides several different Apply Texas module resources. Some of them are listed here. Within the OnCourse Academy, you can view and download different requests for waivers as well as infographics, such as the one that's shown here on the screen, and they can be shared with students and families. I'll now pass it over to Jasmine for FAFSA updates.
All right, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Jasmine, and I'm a manager on our training team at UAspire. And I just wanted to go over some major changes that are coming this year to the FAFSA form. So as I'm sure many of us have heard, the 24-25 FAFSA has been delayed this year, and it is set to open by December 31st. So honestly, that really includes like any day, right? Like we could wake up tomorrow and the FAFSA could be open. It probably won't be, but it will launch by the 31st, so by the end of this month. So definitely make sure that you're keeping your eyes and ears open for when it does become available. But I think the reality is that most students are probably going to be submitting their FAFSAs in early January when we return after that winter break. There's a ton of new terminology that is on this year's form. Like, for example, we're using words like contributors instead of like parents, right? We're also seeing transitions or terms phased out like family size and EFC, which brings me to my next point. One of the biggest changes this year is that the formula used to calculate financial need for students is changing, not only in that formula itself, but also in the name. So we are going to move away from the expected family contribution and start referring to that index or that number as a student aid index. This year's FAFSA is also going to be a role-based completion form. So that means when students are in the FAFSA form, they're only going to see questions related to their role as a student. And the same goes for the parent. Once they're in the FAFSA form as a parent, they're going to see questions related to their role as the parent. This year, FSA ID accounts are required for all contributors. And this has definitely gotten a little funky, and we can definitely tackle some of these questions in our breakout session. But I know a lot of folks have questions about like whether both parents need FSA IDs or not. And it really comes down to how you're filing, how they filed their 2022 taxes. Contributors will need to consent for the IRS to use the direct data exchange and transfer their transfer contributors' tax information into the FAFSA form. So right way before you even look at that very first question on FAFSA, all contributors are going to be asked to approve that they are in fact providing their consent for this transfer to happen. If you are working with a contributor that a parent that doesn't want to provide consent, they can decline, but that will lead to their student not being eligible for any federal financial aid. And then overall, you'll notice when the FAFSA does eventually open, you'll notice that there are fewer questions that contributors are going to see. It doesn't necessarily mean that there are fewer questions being asked. It just means that they're being answered on the back end of the FAFSA. So we can go to the next slide. I think we have one more. Yeah, okay. And this is kind of like where we are in the financial aid timeline. So just some tools that we have available to us include the FAFSA preview presentation deck. If you haven't seen that deck, I think it is helpful to like take a look at some of the screenshots that FSA provided. But I do think that using the FAFSA prototype is probably a better way to get like a little bit situated with the new form. But the FAFSA preview presentation deck is available. The federal student aid estimator became available in, I think, like early fall. And that tool is really helpful for students who are renewing their financial aid forms. I think if you have students who may be worried about how their need has changed under the new SAI formula, they should definitely check out that estimator tool. FSA also released more information on the FSA ID process for parents without a social security number. So I mentioned that all contributors will need FSA IDs, and that includes parents who don't have a social security number. It was announced a couple weeks ago that the FAFSA demo site this year isn't going to be available for the 24-25 application. The demo site was, if you've never seen it or never interacted with it before, it essentially is a demo of the FAFSA form. It allows you to like go through the form without having to submit an actual application. And so it kind of stinks that we're not going to have the FAFSA demo site this year, but again, we do have the FAFSA prototype. And then of course, at some point this month, right, by December 31st, the FAFSA form for the 24-25 award year will launch. Thank you.
As for the next topic, we're going to talk about the TASFA. I'm Laura DeGresh. I'm a program specialist with Financial Aid Services with a coordinating board. And in terms of the TASFA, it is a free application and it is impacted by the FAFSA simplification, of course, and that impacts the timeline and the content of the paper and online TASFA. We are updating the TASFA beyond our usual annual updates so that we can match some of the updates from the FAFSA simplification process. And to meet our goals and ensure we get our paper and online TASFA out as soon as we can and as we can develop them, we will be prioritizing only changes to the Student Aid Index, the SAI, and things that determine aid eligibility. And we have been working with our TASFA subcommittee and getting feedback and making changes as we go. And that subcommittee includes higher education institutions and high school counselors. And some of those changes, not to go into big detail right now, and we'll do more and we can answer questions in the breakout room. But some of those changes include removals and updates in untaxed income and additional information sections. Just to review a bit of the paper TASFA, the paper TASFA in English and Spanish will incorporate FAFSA changes based on the draft documents released for the Department of Education. And the paper TASFA form will be released the same time as the FAFSA, which will be by December 31st, some point this month for the paper TASFA. Now, on the online TASFA and the impact on the FAFSA simplifications, we are working on development and changes are underway right now, but the online form will not be available until after the FAFSA is released. Because of delays in both the FAFSA and the TASFA, the commissioner has changed the state priority deadline from January 15th to March 15th for the 24-25 application year. In future years, it'll revert back to January 15th. Note that the state priority deadline relates just to state financial aid programs impacting state financial aid, whether it's students filling out a TASFA or a FAFSA. So we encourage just to remind students that the priority deadline does not mean that they can't apply after the deadline. They still can, it's just a priority. So in terms of details, happy to answer more questions when we get to our breakout room, but let us turn it over to Tomorrow Ready Texas with Jamie Bell. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Texas Workforce and the Texas Workforce Commission collaborated to launch a reliable college, career, and military planning tool for parents and guardians called Tomorrow Ready Texas. Next slide. If you're not familiar with what parents and guardians can do or see, here's an example. We have the view for parents or guardians of an 11th grader. As students complete each of the steps on their college and career readiness journey, parents can check off those milestones. And you'll notice the checklist on the rightmost picture that can guide or help guide parents. Parents and guardians often want to know how they can help their students through their future planning, and Tomorrow Ready Texas gives them an avenue and makes them feel supported and useful for their students. And I am passing it over to Molly.
Good morning, all. So My Texas Future launched this past year for our adult learner population. So these are the current version is targeted towards working age Texans. And so in a very soon future release, I'll talk about on the next slide, a resource that's coming for y'all students. But this is a digital tool, and for our adult learners, it's creating an institutional advising network across the state. It's really helping those adult learners who have stopped out or want to advance their career to have a warm handoff to an institution. So rather than trying to have to figure out how to get in contact with the institution that they're interested in attending, we have an advising network across the state that provides that warm handoff to our adult learners. Next slide. So in the very near future, in the new year, we will be launching a K-12 version of My Texas Future for secondary students. This is really going to help our students beginning in 7th grade all the way through the 12th grade start planning for their post-secondary opportunities. It'll include self-discovery tools, career exploration tools, program exploration tools, that will really, for lack of a better word, be a one-stop shop for all of the students' post-secondary planning opportunities. We are then looking for, in the same release, providing tools for transfer students so that they have resources and information that specifically is catered towards a transfer student's experience. Next slide. This just gives you a quick overview of the look and feel of My Texas Future. So the account gathers personal information, which really helps cater what the tool serves up to the user, so that they're getting a curated experience throughout the tool, based on their goals and their preferences. And I am excited to answer additional questions in our breakout rooms.
Thank you, Molly. Yes, and now we will transition to our breakout rooms. Lauren, if you want to introduce those. For those of you that haven't let me know which room you want to be in, I know we had some people that wanted to switch around, totally fine. So I moved you guys to the rooms that you guys requested. I still have a few people that I'm not too sure which room you want to be in. So if you don't mind just putting that in the chat so that I can put you in the correct room.
Awesome. Thanks, Andre. And I just want to say thank you guys again for that awesome recap on all these great resources that we covered this fall. It has been such a busy but just wonderful semester. So thank you all for making it so successful. So again, while Andrea is putting everyone into a breakout room and kind of sorting that out, we just want to remind you that when you get into a breakout room, we will have some discussion questions that you can use to kind of help spark that conversation. Feel free to talk about other things, but definitely share your ideas, talk about those best practices, ask those questions around the resources that you're talking about. Maybe you'll hear some great ideas that somebody else is doing that you can then use in your own practice. You can make a connection. You just never know. This is just a fabulous time to really collaborate with those colleagues. Ask questions. Use the experts in your room. Refer to them. They are there to help facilitate the conversation. And as Molly said, just answer any questions you might have. So we hope you have a great time. And again, you're going to have about 30 minutes in your breakout room.
Actually, we're going to cut that time down a little bit. We'll probably have only like 20, just so we have time to do some our resource spotlight as well as answer any questions whole group. So we are going to adjust that time just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put you guys on the breakout rooms now. I saw a lot of messages coming in. So if you wanted to change rooms, I can do that as you're in there, but I'm going to go ahead and open up all the rooms so everyone can get started. How is the breakout rooms? I'm hoping to hear great things from everyone. We do want to share a few different resources with you all before we log off today. Lauren, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, awesome. So we wanted to share our quick guide to financial aid application changes. This was recently created as we're coming up with all of the different changes with FAFSA and TASFA. We just wanted to make this as a kind of just a great document for you to be able to have to post up on your wall or share with your parents, colleagues, just kind of summarizes all of the different changes that are coming up and some of the new terms that need to be that we're all learning about, right? And of course, the priority deadline information. And also wanted to share with you all the Texas On-Course Financial Aid Requirement website and our toolkits that we have there. That's another great resource for you to be able to use this information no matter what your role is in the application process. You're going to find a lot of different resources throughout this toolkit targeted to help you to support students and families. So we're going to provide links to all of these resources as well. I know we're running a little short on time. And of course, on our website, we also on Texas On-Course, we also have, access to all of our plethora of resources for you to access. So each webpage and downloadable toolkit, features important information, links to curated resources, and tips for successfully completing a task for a FAFSA. And these have recently been updated and will continuously be updated as we're moving forward. And they're great to be able to share with counselors that you work with, as well as community partners. And we've just begun to update all of this information going forward just to make sure that you guys have everything that you need. And all of this information was created by you for you. And we also have some Spanish resources as well. which this is one of them, the tuition guarantee programs chart. This is a great resource that you'll find in our toolkit. It's the most recent updated tuition guarantee program chart. Sorry, that's a lot to say in one mouth. This document features information about over 20 different tuition support programs available to Texas residents. These institutions pledge to support students that meet program requirements with a combination of grants and scholarships to cover the cost of tuition, and in some cases also additional fees. So this document, as I mentioned, is also available in Spanish. So we're going to open it up for some questions and comments. As we're doing that, I also want you guys to have this amazing resource. So you can go ahead and scan this QR code here. This has all of the links to all of the different content areas that we spoke on today in our different breakout rooms. And thank you all so much for being so patient on, switching around the breakout rooms and getting where you wanted to, learn that information. And we did record this entire session, so we'll be able to send that out to you as well, but wanted to give you guys a chance to also have these resources for you. And of course, you can follow us on social media. And as I mentioned earlier, all of our previous recordings are on YouTube, so you can definitely check them out there, as well as our website. And as we're looking in the chat and answering some questions, we, of course, always love feedback. We're trying to continuously improve. And as we come to the end of 2023, we want to make 2024 great. So please take a moment to just let us know how we're doing, what kind of information you're curious about, and how we can continue to improve our sessions. Let's see if we have any questions coming in. All right. Well, if we don't have any additional questions, then we'll go ahead and close out our session today. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful holiday season.